For Unit 9, I've been looking at how the emergence of informational technology has affected our society. And I've been doing this by focusing on the human relationship between Western ideologies, our virtual world, and our virtual self. So for the essay, I broke it down into 3 parts, which were all of a similar topic, but looking at it through the lens of 3 different perspectives. And this was through the digitized memory, the digitized self, and digitized hyper-identities. So for the digitized memory, I was looking at what Jacobson and Beer would call an automated memory, which is when social media resurfaces content of the past, which is repackaged through algorithms which would have ranked and classified the memory. I was looking at the self-hidden data, which was what Deborah Lupton would describe as what Deborah Lupton would describe as the data self, which is illuminating this concept of the data and the self not being separate entities, and both of their existence essentially relies on the other. And then I was thirdly, and through that I was kind of taking on research into, again, these Western ideologies which have been delivered as a result of neoliberalism. And then I brought in this neoliberalist concept into the third part, where I was looking at influencer culture and this need and desire of being a self-made individual, and how the creation of social media has facilitated that. So, and also touching on slightly these I concluded in the essay how this coexistence between identity and data has essentially formulated the individual into a transactional product for the Western economy, and how by doing so it's created an online self and essentially a collective self who are confused by their past, their present, and their future. And I concluded that, capitalism and these Western ideologies have managed to manifest themselves through this by looking at, the consumerism and this ideology of positivity, which is displayed through the classification and ranking of algorithms in our content, and this pursuit of achieving data constructed goals and formulating these online hyper identities, which essentially again are molded by algorithmic marketing, and how the body has become this transactional vessel for metrics and data. I was also looking at how the identity of an individual and the identity of the collective individual has also become affected by the development of informational technology in modern Western living, and how society of late capitalism created this unprecedented cultural indifference to its predecessors. And about how, our biographies of our existence, the biography of our existence is now classified and automated and protected through the safety of the data clouds, and how this has created an online past that lacks any authenticity or any legitimacy, but reflects our encounters of the past more purely than opposed to our actual memory, which naturally dilutes information in the storing of the brain. So the consideration that our data cells are a byproduct essentially of co-evolution, it can be concluded that the body has become a space in which identity and existence has become vulnerable to the manipulation of data prognosis. And through the dissection and reproduction of culture and community, data environments have created the space of a simulacrum whereby emphasis is placed upon the self and the body, but yet these technologies have segregated the self away from the other to such an extent that emotional relatability has become something of the past, leaving the subjective self a vulnerable entity to capitalize from. And then for my piece of work that I created to coincide this, I was trying to again create this like hyper digital environment reality, which I created through a lot of editing. Essentially like started off like using this palette to kind of create like hypnotic colours, but using colour theory so that it was like lots of blues and lots of pinks and colours which are essentially supposed to be quite calming. And I had quite like hypnotic music playing in the background too. And to cover it, I've got this text which I've been editing about healing meditation. I essentially wanted it to be this like parody of how Western society kind of adopts and fetishizes Eastern beliefs and like Eastern healing understandings as a way of cleansing their segregated ways of existing.